that your solution looks very, very similar to my solution. If it does not, now would be a great time to ask a question, because it's all stacks and queues from here on out. So you can be sure that if you're not sure about this, you're going to have some troubles later. Yes?
Just a general question about stacks and queues. So to implement a stack, you don't have to implement it through a with the implemented queues, you do have to implement it.
Yes. Although that is definitely sort of an idiosyncrasy of Java. So when we talk about the general CS concept of stack and queue, they're basically stacks are things where you add on to the top, and queues are things where you push to the back. How Java implements them is just details, but you should know those details, obviously. Otherwise it's going to be hard to solve problems. Any other questions about this? So in terms of that, realize that queue is an interface. So if you look, so just like when we said list equals linked list, right? And I said, okay, it's an interface list but it could be an array list or something else. For queue, it's the same thing. It's a limited set of functions that exist in Java that are just for queues. And linked list is one of the classes that actually has those functions. So you can treat a linked list like a queue. There's probably some other classes that you could treat like a queue as well, depending on exactly what you needed it to do. No, it is not. It is completely not like that. It's just basically we're saying, hey, linked list, let's just take away some of your functions. We're just going to use the functions that are available within queue. Yes. Yes. If you look at linked list, you'll see that it has, like every function we call it a linked list when it's a queue. If you look through, you'll see they're all there. Yes. Is it possible to do the code without using a stack? I think if you use a stack, if you put a stack in there, what you'll discover is that the thing doesn't reverse the order. Like if this was a stack instead of a queue. So if you do that, the order you get, I presume, is probably going to be different. OK, I'm not sure what's up. We'll have to take a look, but not right now. Because I tried it with a stack and it didn't work. So we'll have to talk. OK, I'm assuming everyone else is good on the prep assignment. So unsurprisingly, it's stacks and queues today. OK, so let me answer a question that you probably that you probably have been wondering ever since we introduced the topic of queues and stacks, which is say, aren't these like the stupidest data structures in the world? Like, couldn't we already do literally everything we could do with a stack and queue already with a linked list? Yes. Yes, you are right. We totally could. So stacks and queues, the reason we introduced the topic of stacks and queues is twofold. One, it's very frequent in later courses and in elsewhere in computer science to hear people describe something as a stack or a queue, and it's important that you know what that means. And two, stacks and queues, although their features are the same as like a list, they represent a different way of thinking about problems. So the kinds of things you use stacks and queues for tend to be problems in which you're in a situation in which you get some information, but you can't use it, act on it right away, and you're going to defer that information until a later time, right? So this stack or queue is usually holding, 90% of the time, what we might think of it as deferred work. So let me illustrate that idea of deferred work a little bit with something we use in our regular life to do deferred work, by which I mean to-do lists. So if you look here, you can see my to-do list for today. And so this is a list, you know, basically, I go, I read my emails, right? Then I cross it off the list and I go on to the next thing. That's the basic idea. But here's the main question. Say I'm reading some emails, and then while I'm reading some emails, I get an email in my inbox that says there's a big Piazza question. Like, everybody's freaking out. There's something wrong with the latest APT, 200 follow-up responses. I'm like, oh, man, this looks like it's going to take a while to resolve. I've got this new task. I was reading my emails, and then reading my emails has spawned a new task. Now, here's the question that is going to distinguish between a stack or a queue. There's two ways I could think about this. I'd be like, oh, no. Now that as I'm finishing my emails, I need to do this other thing. I can't really be done finishing my emails until I respond to this Piazza question. So I had better immediately start working on the Piazza question. And if I also, when I was reading my emails, got an invite to a party that I have to RSVP for, because of course I would, who doesn't like parties, I might say, OK, I'm going to add those both at the top of my to-do list. So I'm going to say, Piazza question, RSVP, right? And then, while I'm working on the Piazza question, right, which I do immediately after I start read some emails, I might discover, oh, dang, to answer this question, I really need to find my CS textbook. So I got to go do that, right? Now, here's the thing. As I build up this stuff, right, my to-do list is getting bigger. But there is a key question here you've got to wonder, which is to say, am I ever going to get to playing video games? Right? If wow, this is not centered where I would like it to be. If this Piazza question keeps finding more and more and more stuff, it may be the case that I never actually get there, right? I keep adding to the front of my to-do list, and I never get to the point where I get to the later things in my to-do list. Now, there's an alternative to that, which is, so when I use my to-do list in this way, where a new task gets added to the front and needs to be dealt with immediately, it's acting like a stack. Where subproblems, right, problems that are discovered within solving some other problem have to be immediately done before you can finish, basically, usually the other problem. So if I don't consider myself done reading my emails till I've answered this Piazza question, then I'm thinking of my